Hi students, how are you all? Welcome in our SS lecture, and we have chapter 10 Political Formations in the 18th century. You know well that Mughal rules started in India from Babur's that inventions in India, and then Mughal rules started. But the Mughal rulers, after Aurangzeb, they all call that later Mughal rulers. After Aurangzeb, the all rulers were there. They are called that later Mughal rulers. You know that they were weaker rulers. You can see that after Aurangzeb, that Mughal rulers happened. They all were weaker rulers. They were weak rulers. They were not able to control their kingdom, and then the Mughal Empire, it was declined afterwards because of that weak administration and weak that management of kingdom. So we have a large number of that sources of history. We come to know about this all that rulers. We came to know about the large sources of history, manuscript, written documents, not written by travelers, some biographies and autobiographies of Mughal rulers done by that poet and some writers. Some greatest courtiers were there in their kingdom. They were poet and artists also. Some travelers' diary, manuscripts, coins, cave paintings, and by many things we can be familiar about that Mughal rulers' periods and their administration work and how it declined there. So most of these records are there. Nowadays we can see it is preserved in museums and some libraries. Books are there. So we will be familiar about that Mughal rulers by these all sources. And in all source states they have libraries and museums related to these all topics. So we come to know about these all later Mughal rulers and Mughal rulers by these all sources. So the later Mughals, you know, Aurangzeb was the king, and after Aurangzeb, that Mughal rulers, their power declined. They were not able to control their territories, and it was the decline of Mughal rulers. So that after Aurangzeb, the rulers happened. They all call that later Mughal rulers. You know that Aurangzeb died in 1707, and then the Mughal kings came. They all were called that later Mughal rulers. So he ruled. Then that Bahadur Shah first emerged victorious, and there was a war of succession happened after the death of Aurangzeb, and in that Bahadur Shah victorious happened, and he got the throne in place of that Aurangzeb. He was succeeded by that Jahangir Shah, and he ruled greatly over that territories. Then they could place whoever, means that Sayyid brothers were there, that were there. They were able to put whoever they want as a emperor, and to whom they don't want, they did not be the king. So that they could place whoever they want as a king, and often they referred to as the king marks. Thus, the Mughal emperor was no longer as that as supreme authority. In short, that later Mughals, they did not have supreme authority. All the powers were there in the hands of that pradhans and amatyas. They were taking all power. So in 1713, that Fayar Shah came, the emperor, with the help of their Sayyids, and later on there was a revolt among them, and that Sayyid brothers were there. They were killed by their Farooq Asiyar and Muhammad Shah, and that was the emperor and got the Sayyid brothers killed. And by the end of Muhammad, that Shah's rule, the Mughal empire was totally declined. Foreign that invaders, that Nadir Shah invaded that India in 1739, and he took the means he looted that Delhi city, and most of his loot were there, that peacock throne and that Kohinoor diamond, and lot of wealth he looted from the Delhi to his place. So that it was a great that amount of money and gold and silver coins he was looted. The peacock throne and the Kohinoor diamond was the most valuable he took Iran from the Delhi. So his invention exposed that other rulers also started adding in on the weak rulers of India, and result was there. The other invaders came in India and attacked. For example, Ahmad Shah, that Abu Dhali, that is there, the Afghan ruler, he attacked on India that 5 times. Afghani there was there, he attacked on India 5 times between 1748 to 1761. So other foreign attacks also happening because of that weak rulers of that India. The all rulers were weak, so other foreign attacks happening on India. Battle of Buxar was there. Then we'll see that Battle of Buxar. The Battle of Buxar was there. It was fought in 1764 between the British East India Company and the combined forces of that Shah Alam II, Siraj Uddaulah, and that Shauja Uddaulah. That combined forces attack happened with the British East India Company, and Mir Qasim, who was the Nawab of Bengal, and Shauja Uddaulah, who was the Nawab of that Awadh. They all combined forces fought with the British, and however the British emerged that the right to collect that revenue, and the Bengal, Bihar and Odisha, that charges was given to the Shah Alam II, and this way that Buxar battle fought among them, and British East India Company was victorious in that battle. We got victory in that battle. The last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Jafar, was the last Mughal ruler. He attacked with British East India Company, but British East India Company was victorious. The revolt happened. The last ruler of Mughal dynasty, Bahadur Shah Jafar, the rule of Mughal came to end with the end of his kingdom. He was revolt in 1857. Revolt happened in India, and with this revolt, his kingdoms and the British that Mughal rules, Mughal emperor's age that totally declined in India. Then Bahadur Shah that was exiled by that Rangoon, means that Yangon, capital of that Burma today, and died there in 1862. He was exiled by the British government, and then in 1862 he died in Burma and Rangoon, that in there only he died. Reasons decline of Mughals. Some reasons are there that how that Mughal rulers that were, why that decline happened of Mughal rulers were there, why they declined, what happened to them, so that Mughal rulers' power was there, it would decline in India. Though that Mughal emperors were there, they were very powerful in India. In before 1857, that Mughal rules and happened in India, but the decline of these all Mughals rulers, it started from Aurangzeb's period because of his rigid and complex rules and regulations, and because of Aurangzeb's rigid policies. He was orthodox leader, that ruler, and because of his schemes and policies, the decline of Mughal that started from that only. Another reason is that with the war of Deccan, he spent a lot of money behind, and that war of Deccan was there. The most of the financial that resources he spent after that war, and the long absence of his himself, he was long absent at Delhi. The weak administration was there. It was the responsible of Mughals that decline, and rigid policies, Aurangzeb, that led to a number of uprising amongst that Mughal rulers and Jats, Sikhs, Rajputs. They all were in opposed of Aurangzeb, and that another most probably that kingdoms emerged during that time of that, and it was the main reason to decline. The successors of Aurangzeb, after Aurangzeb, some kings happened. They all were weaker and they are different in opinion. They gave up that nobles gaining power. Means that power was not there in their hand. They were not able to control that vast, huge empire, and this led that the decline of Mughal whole empire. The gaining power was not there in the hands of emperor, and it was in the hands of that Amatyas, and then the nobles were not able to control all territory. Later Mughals, later Mughals were there. They were unable to look after this huge empire. They could not able to control that empire. They could not exercise the whole kingdom, and that they could not have control over subedars, then some noble mansabdar, that all were not in control by the later Mughals. In short, the result, they were not able to collect taxes from the peasants, and taxes were less, so that all kingdoms income become less. Most probably that incomes they were means paying after the soldiers and in the army. Many of them ruled over their own private provinces independently. Some Mansabdars and that Subidars, they started their own kingdoms. They started their independent kingdom, we can say, and this was the decline of Mughal. The Zamindars were there. They often controlled the offices of taxes, the administration, Faujdari, that was the Diwani, military. These all were declined with this power of kings. The another major factor is there that led to the decline of Mughal. Their control was not there over the nobles. Military failure was there. It was the main reason of decline. Then that main reason of that decline is that military failure. Rise of that independent kingdom. These all Mughals rulers that end happened, and that the authority was no longer in the hands of Mughal. Authority was not there in the hands of Mughal, and that totally that later Mughals were unable to control that territories, and the whole empire declined because of that weak Mughal rulers. They were unable to control that Subedar, Mansabdar, Faujdar, Diwane, and Zamindar, and they started their independent that nations and independent rules, and they were in opposed with the emperors. In short, the authority was not there in the hands of emperor. So all the authorities were there. They were taking Amatyas and then Mansabdar, Faujdar, Zamindar. They were taking full authorities. So the power was not there of a control in the hands of king, and the military failure against the Marathas that led to the uprising during that the 7th century, 18th century, the all Mughal rulers that declined. Rise that independent kingdoms emerged. With the weak rulers of that later Mughals, some other kingdoms they were in oppose with the Mughal rulers. They came into exist with the decline of that power of some other independent regional that that rulers came, and like that some other rulers came into the power. Some of them were from Mughals and former Mughals provinces such as Awadh, Bengal, Hyderabad, Mysore, that all came into exist, which were called by governor that services. Governors were there, they happened to kings. Some state emerged independent that during these periods of time, and Jagir that freedom, and Rajput that princes, Jats, Marathas that people came with the group of Marathas, Rajputs, and Jats that all came, the Peshwas and the Sikh and the Jats, they were very powerful kingdoms emerged during that time. So that many other that rulers and independence that kingdoms came into the exist after that Mughal rulers, because the Mughal rulers had happened weak in administration as well as they did not control over that whole land. So as a result, it was decline of Mughal rulers and some other provinces and some independent that kingdoms emerged in India. So this is that rise of independent kingdom. I hope you understand. We'll see these other topics in next video. Thank you children. Bye.